You remember me, right? I'm not only there at night. You seem a little nervous in your head. It's like a creepy circus. Are you ready for the show? Now tell me, where did all your courage go? I'm back, boo. Control you, just as in a game. But don't try to fight me back. You can't break me. Try it, and you shall see. I'm back, boo.
Well, hello there, guys. Yes, I started right on time. Clock just struck 1 in the afternoon. So, anyway, this is me on my OBS tutorial, and it's going to be bite-sized. I'm going to try to make it as simple as I can. Most people, when they start broadcasting live to YouTube or other streaming platforms, actually their first inclination is to use something like StreamYard in lieu of Hangouts. And StreamYard's fine, but it is highly limited. It doesn't allow you to do very much fancy at all. It's designed to fill the void that Hangouts left when it went away from YouTube. So with that being said, they're going to start looking at prices, and the first thing you'll notice about OBS is it's free. OBS stands for Open Broadcaster Software. So most of the streaming world uses OBS. And personal opinions about that program aside, it is constantly under development. It is constantly getting new plugins and features, and it is actually pretty decent for what it does. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my virtual machine. There's a bit of a chicken and egg problem when teaching this stuff, because in order to stream this live, I actually have to have something set up to stream, which defeats the purpose. So I created what's called a virtual machine, and we will do all our work on that, and I have a side channel called Bader Heaven, which is where I was planning on doing some scam baiting, but never got around to it because this little show called the Non Sequitur Show showed up. So, without further ado, we'll bring up our virtual machine. And that's, you can just ignore the side. That's just the chat for posterity. Being that the live replay on YouTube doesn't actually record the other streaming platforms I'm going to. In case you're wondering, I go to DLive, Mixer, Periscope, and YouTube. Again, that comes later. We'll get into that. But to start with, you'll notice that we have this virtual machine, and unfortunately, I can't capture the mouse for some reason. It's not working, but you'll be able to see where I'm clicking. I've already downloaded OBS because nobody wants to sit there and watch me download software. That's kind of boring. So we'll get right into it. The first thing you'll notice about this machine, it is quite stripped down. All I've done is install Windows 10 and done the updates, and that's it. And then I installed Chrome. So here we have the downloaded OBS Studio, and it's the full installer. OBS has a feature that checks for updates, so you only have to do this once manually. After that, it will actually update your program for you as you open it. I advise people to keep on top of the add-ons plugins that they get for OBS, if they get any, just to make sure stuff stays up to date when you're streaming, because there's reasons they update this stuff. So we're going to go ahead and launch the file by double-clicking it. And it's going to say, are you sure you want to allow this to make changes? We say yes. And it says, welcome. And you're missing runtime components that OBS Studio requires. Would you like to download them? Yes. So you're going to get to watch me download some stuff anyway. Fortunately, my machine's pretty darn quick. So this is what it wants. This is redistributable Visual C++. So you launch that, agree, and install it. It doesn't take long. And you can close this, and now you can launch your installer again. So this is what one would experience if they downloaded OBS for the first time. It's been a long time, so you'll bear with me if I've forgotten exactly how everything goes. So there's a plugin that comes with it. If you have a RealSense camera, you obviously need this. Most people don't. I've never seen one in the wild, so we'll go ahead and just skip that plugin. Other than that, we just install. So this installs pretty much like any other piece of software in Windows. And 70, 80, 90, 100%, extract completed. Now we're going to have it launch it for us. If not, you can just double click the icon, and it also makes a start menu folder here. Failed to initialize video. Your GPU may not be supported, or graphics drivers may not be updated. We might be calling this one short here, because it doesn't want to run on this virtual machine. Yeah, well, that kind of blows it short. Well, I tell you what I can do. You saw me install it. I'll just load it up on my real machine that has an actual video card, because this is a problem because this is a virtual machine. And we'll go from there. Let me capture this real quick. with me. See, this is what happened. This is a result of live streaming, because live streaming tends to be a little bit chaotic. Alright, so this is OBS Studio. This is what you'll see when you get OBS Studio. OBS Studio doesn't have a lot on it. In fact, I don't even think you'll see that. You'll see this. This is the way it comes, pretty much stock. And you'll have a blank scene. You always have to have one scene, and that's it. Another thing you probably notice is that you'll have a desktop audio device. Now, this will be there on by default. I turn it off because I like to control which scenes have which audio devices in them automatically. So I go ahead and I go into the settings here, and you can't see the settings too, of course, because that doesn't work. Let me capture the settings window because that's important. It wants to be difficult. Alright, so this is our settings window. And in the settings window, it comes up to general. I'm going to audio and I'm disabling the desktop. I disable all these because these will follow you around and they will get in the way, and you'll have to mute them manually and do all kinds of stuff you really don't need to do. So we'll leave it at that. We'll just disable them. And now we have nothing in our audio mixer, nothing in our scenes or anything. So this is kind of a bit of a mystery box is what we got. So we're going to go back to the settings real quick. Our settings, which is not following me anymore because I closed it and reopened it, so I have to capture it again. Our settings box has a lot of options. There's a lot of stuff in here. This is what I was talking about. You want it to check for updates when it starts up. Every time you start it. There's a whole lot of stuff in here. You don't need to worry about all this stuff unless you're planning on using some of these things. Like if you have a projector and you plan on... What did I just do? I don't know. But, oh, that's our source alignment is happening. We'll get into that in a minute. But for all intents and purposes, the general box, you don't really need to change anything unless you're in a different language. Now, stream is where it's at, okay? So, this is where you get your different platforms. And we're going to be using YouTube in this case. So, we need our stream key from our channel. And where you get the stream key for the channel is, let me pull up our virtual machine since that's safe, is that comes from YouTube itself. So if I go in here and go to YouTube on my second channel and go to the studio, you can tell I've never gone here before because it's giving me all kinds of stuff. I do not like Studio Beta, which is what this is. I prefer Creator Studio Classic. So once you do that, I just skip the survey because I go to Classic every time I go into Studio. you'll see there's a live streaming bar right here. That's where you go to set up the actual stream. In YouTube. Okay, so this is the Beta Heaven live stream. It's going to be private. And you'll notice that it's kind of blanked out here. So I'm going to go ahead and reveal it and copy it. Because I'm not too worried about anyone else using it. I'll just reset it. And that is exactly what we put in here. So if I show what's in there now, it doesn't match. You put the stream key I just grabbed and apply. So that's actually gonna, now when I start the stream, it'll start over on YouTube. When I start it in OBS, it'll start up automatically. That only has to be set for stream now. You can also go and do events, but we won't do that. Now here is your stream output. Okay, this is a bit high. We don't need to be this high. The current encoding rate I'm going at is actually half that. So I'm going to go ahead and have that. YouTube does have a guide on where to find the streaming or what the best rate is, video bit rate is for that. Audio bit rate 192 is usually fine. And that's kind of where it's at. And then our audio output is at 44 kilohertz at stereo, which is CD quality. Our video is 1920 by 1080. It says video output is active. I don't know why, because I haven't done anything to start it. But normally this would be available to you, and you'd be able to set your output. So that's where you're going to set whether it's 1080p or how many frames per second, and you don't need to worry too much about the downscale filter. Like, a lot of this is set already. You don't need to change it. And we're not going to worry about hotkeys or advanced because we don't need them for this session. So then I apply all this and click OK. So now it's ready to stream. But if I started streaming now, it would simply be a black screen. There'd be no audio. It'd be kind of boring. So the next thing I normally do is I go into studio mode. And what studio mode allows you to do is it allows you to preview what you're going to put out before you actually put it out. It cuts down on a lot of the on-screen manipulations. Some people like it, some people don't. It's up to you. It's a personal choice. I prefer it this way. You can also set your transition. I have cut and fade in that list, but there's also, well, there's not a lot. Let's put it that way. You can add more, but it takes work to add them. So now we need something to stream. So let's go ahead and pick something. The first thing we're going to do is we want people to be able to hear us speaking. So we need our audio capture, our audio input capture, which is our microphone. So we'll just call this microphone. And we'll make the source visible. If you hide it, it doesn't really matter for audio sources, but it'll either be on screen or it won't. So there's an eye icon you'll see in a second where you can switch that on the fly. So if there's invisible elements on screen, you can bring them in later. So now it brings up, of course, another window that's not showing. So let me capture that window. And this is where, oh, it's frozen the video settings. I'm sorry, that's my fault. Okay, so let's go back and re-add our microphone. That's my fault. I have to capture each thing individually. So you click the plus button under sources to add your microphone at this point. And it's an input capture because microphone's going into the computer. This is not by any stretch of the word the only way to set OBS up or audio. Audio is a whole can of worms that I really don't want to go into on this particular one. But we'll go with microphone. And now I need to get the capture for the next window. So this is what I'm looking at now. And don't worry about use device timestamps. That's something, and you'll see I have a lot of stuff in here. But I use my Focusrite. I use a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 USB microphone interface. So that's what I'll pick here. And click OK. Now you'll notice it didn't show up in the audio mixer. That's because the audio mixer always shows the program. We're still building the preview. So if I want to see that in the audio mixer, I have to transition it in. And now you can see with every word I see, you have a little VU meter. I can mute it. This is muted to the stream, not to you guys, because we're not using this instance to do anything. And it's there. You'll also note that only one channel is active because this is a single channel microphone. So there's this little gear button here next to it where you can let me clear some stuff off and actually capture a section of my screen because this is getting a little bit out of hand with stuff. And I'd rather be able to just run it. So let me fix this so that it pops up stuff. I'll just capture my whole display and crop it in. Give me 1 second. I knew this wasn't going to be an easy tutorial. I knew it because it's a chicken and egg issue. I need to see. Don't need that in there. Let me pull this out. Alright, that should work better. Alright, so there's OBS. And now you'll be able to see what I'm doing and I won't have to switch it. You can see the mouse too. Wow, what a concept. So the microphone's working. Now we can click here and go to advanced audio properties. Since this is a mono mic and it's a stereo input, you can just check the mono button in advanced audio properties. And now it will go out both channels, the same sound. So now we have sound going out. Well, that's kind of fun, but not really. It's good that they can hear us. But if you click here, let me put this up where you can see more of the options here. There's a whole list of things, some of which don't even show up because my screen capture is too small. But we're going to go ahead and do a media source. which is right under the Intel RealSense camera. If you've got it, it's under Image Slideshow. But the media source allows us to add videos, audio, images, etc. So we're just going to have this called Super Mario Brothers vid. Now it wants us to find this video that I referenced. So we're going to browse for it. And you guys will get to see a little bit of how I organize my stuff. And we're going to go ahead and pull in the dubstep. Now this is a no copyright sound, so don't worry. I can set it to loop here. I can restart when the source becomes active. I can close the file when it's not active if I'm low on memory, which I'm going to go ahead and do anyway because it loads fast enough. I click OK. So now you'll notice that it's there, but it's not playing. So you see it made this little red dot here. This is the way it kind of comes into OBS for some reason. I don't know why. But I reset the transform to the screen size. Look at the size of this video. Like, this is totally off base. So it's at position 9000. Well, that doesn't make sense. I'm going to put it at actually 0 and 0. And it's certainly not that big. So we'll do 1920 by 1080, which is standard high def. But you'll see it's still not there. Well, that's because we haven't started the video yet. You can't see it because it's not there yet. So if we test this by transitioning, you'll see that something's still off. It's now playing the music to the stream. It's got its own little audio control, but where is it? It still did that. There it is. Okay, it didn't save for some reason. So now if I transition, and it's a static image on the video, and you can't hear it because the sound is, this is going to stream. If you want to hear it, you can go to Advanced Audio Properties and turn the monitor on. And there it is. But how do we control this? That's a really good question. This video doesn't have any controls. So if we transition, we're just going to start it over again. So we need a blank screen. Blank 2. We have a blank scene now to transition out to stop it. So if we start with blank 2 and we transition between blank and blank 2, which is what this transition button will do, it'll go from a black screen to the Super Mario Brothers video. It'll start it over for us. So we're ready to do a little bit of a test stream. So if I pull up my channel here, I'm not sure what's happening there. Let's reload this page. There's a live dashboard for our stream, it's offline. So if I go to OBS and start streaming, you'll see it turns green here. That means it's a quality stream. It's going out good. There's no issue. And then if I cut back to here, you'll see that YouTube has it going live. So now it's live. And if we watch it here, and I cut and transition, and I cut back to our live control room, we will see it come up here. All right, so that's how you do this. And the reason I stopped it is because there's an audio loop between me monitoring the stream and sending the stream and my other streaming software, which I'm using to create the stream on all my channels. So it gets a little confusing when you're doing this. So I've stopped. I'm going to go ahead and stop streaming. And that's all there is to it. So a little bit of Q&A from the chat would be fantastic. I see we have Tatty Boggle. Hello, Tatty. Smitty, Nana, Blue Collar Heathen, Nova Blast. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's hard to remember. This is why people get producers. It's hard to remember to switch back and forth to different scenes. So if you have a lot of different scenes that make up your production, you're doing that while you're trying to host a show, it's a little tough. So I'm waiting for any questions from the audience. I see there's 6 people watching, which is cool, and 6 thumbs up, which is even cooler. I appreciate that. No Q&A? Bacon. Okay. So there's 6 people watching, and nobody has any questions about OBS. Or anything, really, in general. That was a nice little short 30-minute intro to OBS. And there was some snafu in there because my virtual machine doesn't have a proper video card in it. Don't worry. If you don't have questions, that means I'm doing my job, although I would like to have questions. I bought the live control room up. You can see now the stream is complete. And if I go to the video manager for this channel, there's the stream we just did. It's private. I'm not going to I could make it unlisted, but it's not really that exciting. It's only 1 minute and 49 seconds long. I'll just leave it up in there in case anybody cares. It's not like YouTube's going to run out of space. You're getting ready to leave, Nana? Well, later on today, I will be on a Marvel Girls channel. I think she is doing something at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me double check that. She may not have it set up yet. Yeah, she does. She has the Christmas Day live stream set up. So this is where I will be at 3 p.m. along with people who want to join me. Blue Color Heathen asks, if you're doing a stream with people, the guest feed will be in the scene area. I did a video prior to this one, which is kind of out of order, but the scene area, each person comes in as a camera and you size them and put them where they need to be. It's a lot of fiddly work that I didn't really want to get into, because the whole idea is to get the stupid thing to work in the first place and then worry about all that fiddly stuff. But yes, they will appear in the scene area. Everything goes into the scene area. Your audio devices, your videos, your overlays, it all ends up in the scene areas, and you can set the order so that things can be on top of or beneath other things. We'll talk about transparency in images, because that's important in future episodes. So, as always, I would appreciate any donations that anybody has for my channel. There are links in the description. And what I do, if you appreciate my production value on other channels, which includes, at this point in time, Steve McRae. I do Caffeine Corner for him, and I also do Pimp Monk Show. So other than that, some things I got up and coming. I'll be working with Taddy, who's also in the chat here, on the Shills. He'll be doing the UK time frame shows, and I'll be doing the US time frame shows so that he can get some sleep finally. And I'm also going to be doing the Non Sequitur show when it comes back. Yes! Woohoo! The Shills! No! So yeah, it all ends up in the scene area. Is there any other questions? Yeah, I am looking forward to it too, Taddy. I enjoy the Shills tremendously. I find it a much needed pressure relief valve, given all the stuff that's going on in today's day and age, especially on Twitter. And personally involved with the show, the Non Sequitur show. So there's a lot of drama surrounding that right now that hopefully, once we start doing it again, I want it to be on. I don't want to be talking about the past on the Non Sequitur. I want to be looking forward. And I think Cheshire and myself and Steve all agree on that. So kudos to that. All right, Blue Collar the Heathen. Since you were the one that requested this, you get the special mention. And I will be back. I just need to think of a subject for the next show. And I will bid you all adieu. You have a good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Catch you all later.